I've been pondering this week about all of the times in the Bible that talk about turning to God, or more specifically, returning to God. See, I always thought that those two things were the same, turning, returning. But actually, I've been thinking this week, they're actually quite different. And in the Bible, there are 31 instances that talk specifically about returning. Because if we are just simply turning to something, it's suggesting that we were looking in this direction and then we are perhaps for the first time turning to look at someone or something. But if we are returning, it's suggesting that once we were looking this way and then perhaps we became a bit distracted. And then to return means to go back to what we once knew or to that thing that we were once looking at. If you are to Google the term return, some of the synonyms that come up are to go back or to come home. And that is so significant. In Joel 2, verse 12, it says, "Even now, declares the Lord, return to me with all your heart." In Hosea 14, verse 1, it says, "Return, O Israel, to the Lord your God." In Job, it says, if you return to the Almighty, you will be restored. Nehemiah 1 verse 9, Jeremiah 24, Lamentations 3, the list goes on. Return, return, return. And why does God say return and not just simply turn? And I think it shows us two things about God's character. The first one is God knows our hearts. He is not shocked at all by the fact that we have to return to him. I think sometimes we can feel that we've messed up so badly or that we've gone so far from home that God doesn't want us anymore, or, that God doesn't desire us. But these verses that say return show us that God knows we get distracted. God knows that we sometimes turn away from him. And yes, that upsets him. And yes, he feels he wants us. But that is the point. He still wants us. He desires us. Even though it says, even now, return to me. Even though we've become distracted, God still wants us. And that is such an amazing part of God's character. And the second thing that it tells us about God's character is the fatherly heart that God has for us. When I was little, I used to plan running away from home, and sometimes I would go as far as to pack a rucksack of all my favourite teddies, and I would walk up the driveway, and my mum would be standing on the doorstep going, "You better come back here, you better come back to this house," and I was thinking, is that the way that God is saying that? Is that the tone? And I really don't think it is. I think God's tone is not, "You better come back here right now." It's more, return home. Come back. I'm right here. Return home to me. I haven't gone anywhere. I'm standing right here waiting for you, eagerly waiting, desiring you to come back. There is no mountain or valley that you could have gone into that is too far from home for me to be calling you. There is nothing that we possibly could have done that would have removed us so far from God that he doesn't call us back. He's right there. He's right there waiting for us. So what are we going to do with this information? We know that God has a fatherly heart for us and that he wants and desires us so badly. We know that God is not shocked by what we've done, and he's calling us every day, every minute to come back to him. So what are we going to do with this information? Are we going to keep feeling bad that we've gone so far from him, or are we going to actually just turn around and see God standing there and say, "I choose you. Today I choose to return to you."